Hi, my name is Stephanie Walton. I'm here at Blue Fountain Media, and today we are going to talk about content marketing, the basics. So what exactly is content marketing? What are some examples of great content marketing? And what are some hurdles you might be experiencing, and how can you overcome them when integrating this into your current marketing program? So to begin, what is content marketing? In order to really understand what exactly this huge trend is that we're all hearing about, I found it really helpful to go back to the origins of where this started. So if we rewind back to 1997, you might remember a little program we were all really excited about called Napster. The very first availability of free music on the internet, when we were all spending 2 hours downloading All Star by Smash Mouth and hoping that our DSL modem didn't disconnect while we were downloading the music. We've come quite a way since then with Spotify and Pandora, but that was really the first time that what you previously spent $20 to get on a CD suddenly became available for free on the internet. This concept really quickly took off and extended to a ton of other forms of media, from books to photos to videos. You had YouTube, you had Flickr, you had all of these websites that started offering what we previously paid for at zero cost. With this huge shift of the understanding of what we had to pay for, also came a shift in our expectations of what we deserved to get for free. So where you were previously used to paying a lot of money, now you could get it for free. And this also changed the relationship that businesses needed to have with their customers. Because what businesses could previously charge for, now their customers weren't willing to pay for anymore. What this has ultimately led to now is the development of content marketing, a new concept where businesses are suddenly asking, what can we give to our customers for free? So content marketing, the sharing of stories, knowledge, and information in a way that promotes engagement and evangelism. So instead of saying, what do we have that we can get our customers to pay for, we're asking, what do we have that we can give away for free? What are our assets? What is our knowledge base? What information do we have that our customers can benefit from, that they want, that we won't make them pay for? So ultimately now we have this content marketing concept, which is where we are sharing this information with consumers in a way that they then want to go share it with their friends and build brand awareness and engagement and get people excited about this business. So if we take these concepts of what content marketing is supposed to be in this new market economy, and how we incorporate this into our current marketing programs, you have to start asking the questions about what the role of content marketers is going to be in a business. Because this is a really new concept for most businesses, having somebody who's strictly dedicated to the creation and the promotion of new forms of content. Previously, you had copywriters and you had creative teams, but you didn't necessarily have a person on your team who was strictly in charge of mapping out a strategy and methods for how to get this content out there and what type of content to create. So if we start asking questions of what is the role of this content marketer going to look like in a business, which it is incredibly essential to have this person in your business now, because no marketing program, whether it's SEO or social or even PPC, can really succeed unless you have this content creation that's backing up the rest of your programs. So while you're asking these questions about how to get a content marketer into your business and what that role is going to look like, again, we need to rewind a little bit to when the term content marketer first got thrown on the table. So the term content marketing actually was first used in 1996 by journalists at a roundtable discussion from the American Society of Newspaper Editors, which gives us some really interesting insight into how we're supposed to think of ourselves as content marketers. Content marketing includes a wide array of specialties. It's not just copywriting and it's not just marketing. And I found it really interesting and really helpful, a book by Erin Kassane, who wrote The Elements of Content Strategy, which I highly recommend for everyone to read, and how she describes all of the elements that go into being a successful content strategist in a business. And it's not just marketing. The first element of being a great content strategist is actually being an editor, like a newspaper editor. All the skills that an editor has and that they bring to the table in a content marketing world is incredibly valuable. Editors are skilled and knowledgeable on how to create a good story that people are going to want to read. They are putting the reader before the needs of the business, which when you're coming from the content marketing world, we are so used to dealing with the needs of our clients and the needs of our business and our goals and meeting our KPIs, and not necessarily putting the needs of our customers first. But the first rule of content marketing is you have to meet the needs of your customers first, or ultimately your plans will fail. So learning as much as we can about the editing process, how to create a good story arc, how to come up with topics and content that your customers are going to find exciting and relate to and want to share. And so it's not just essential to be up to date on the latest SEO tactics, it's essential to read New York Magazine, read the New York Times, read Vogue, read anything out there that's going to give you experience and knowledge on what the consumer is looking for, how to give the consumer what they're looking for, and in what way to present it in a way that's going to be relatable and shareable for them. Another element that's really involved in being a good content strategist is being a curator. So you imagine a museum curator, for example, somebody who's curating a exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And they have all of these beautiful pieces of art, and they know each one so thoroughly, and they know the purpose of each one. It's their job to create a space where the people who are going to be enjoying this art are going to be able to enjoy it freely in the way that it's meant to be enjoyed. So this requires not only a deep knowledge of what you're presenting, but a deep understanding of how your visitors are best going to be able to experience that art. And also knowing that every piece of art in that exhibit needs to have a purpose for being there. You can't have any purposeless art. There's a lot of movement of just throwing content out on the internet just because you think it's going to help your SEO efforts. That is not where content marketing is moving, and many will say that throwing meaningless content on the internet is neutral. It's actually detracting from what you're trying to do. There's no such thing as a neutral piece of content. If it is not curated and impactful and for a specific purpose, don't put it on the internet, because it's going to be a waste of space and take away ultimately from what you're trying to do. Next essential role of a content marketer or content strategist is, of course, the marketing aspect of it. Marketers bring to the table a really deep knowledge of persuasion and rhetoric, how to take that piece of content to the next level, how to talk to the consumer in a way that is going to make them excited to engage with this business. And lastly, information architecture, which tends to be a separate role in a business structure. They tend to be associated with building websites and navigation. But in order for content marketing to really be a success, it's essential for content strategists to be involved in that navigation process from the very beginning, because we're bringing our curating skills to the table and we understand how our visitors are best going to engage with the content that we are presenting to them. We need to bring those skills to the information architect phase and know how to craft a website and the navigation of that website in a way that will make it easy for our visitors to find what they're looking for. So those are the essential elements that go into creating a good content strategist and making that role a really essential part of the organization. So if we're asking what is included in the actual content marketing process, what goes into creating this great piece of content? And that is the question that every marketer out there is asking. Everyone wants to know how to create that piece of content that's going to go viral and take off on YouTube, and everyone's sharing it on their Facebook. And the truth is, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by a very long thought out process, a very deep understanding of what your customers need, and a lot of strategy. So the very first step to that process is the evaluation. Of course, knowing who your clients and your business, who your clients are and who your business is trying to reach. So the messaging has to be dead on. You need to really have a deep understanding of what you want the tone of your business to be. Are you formal and presenting white papers, or are you casual and using memes and throwing out infographics? You need to respond to your user personas with the right type of information that they are going to share. Audience modeling is very important, and then of course setting goals. So in this evaluation process, you need to determine what is the most important element of this piece of content and what do you want it to do. Do you want it to be shared a lot? Do you want it to bring visitors to your site? Do you want it to generate leads? Because whatever that goal is going to shape what type of content you create. Lastly, you need to identify the hurdles very early on in the process. And we all have hurdles that we're going to hit, whether it's going to be a clog in the pipeline of actually creating the content, whether it's going to be lack of resources, a lack of an appropriate distribution channel, maybe your social media profiles aren't built up enough to get the content out there. Whatever it is, try and identify and predict what those are going to be as early in the process as possible so that you don't go through all this work of creating this incredible piece of content and then you've hit this hurdle and you can't get over that and everything comes to a grinding halt. So after you spend some time evaluating your customer base, your hurdles, and your goals, the next thing you need to do is the actual creation of the piece of content. So the first thing you need to ask when you get into the creation phase is, what's the story? This is where you bring your editing skills to the table. So what type of story is going to engage your customers? And if you're a B2B business, it can be somewhat difficult to think, oh, well, we share information or we share products and services. We don't necessarily have a story we want to talk about. But I would challenge you to frame what you are presenting to your customers with the aspect of a story, with a conflict, with a premise, with an arc, with the climax, and with the resolution, because that is going to be the story arc that really engages your customers, whether it's about B2B services or anything else that's on the table. So you have to identify what your story is and then explore what type of media you want to present that story to. So blog articles tends to be the basic one, but get outside of your comfort zone. Maybe an infographic will be a great idea. There's a lot of cool tools out there that you can use that will help you create infographics for free. Easily is one of our favorite ones to use, and there's a whole lot of others that are really great platforms. You could explore white papers and case studies and interviews with industry influencers, which is a great way to build up relationships with other people in your industry. You can use memes and GIFs, and there's countless types of information that or media types that you can use to put that information out there in a way that's going to be much more engaging and exciting than the average blog post. So after you decide what your story is and what media type you want to use, you need to gather your team resources in order to create that piece of content. So are you going to need designers? Are you going to need developers? Do you need a PR person? Do you need a social media team? Who are you going to interview? Come up with your list of the people that you need to make this happen. Reach out to them in a way that's going to get them excited about participating in the project, and then come up with a timeline for when you want to get this piece of content created. Make sure to set really clear expectations about deadlines and communicate openly with your team members so that everyone's on the same page about what's being accomplished. So now that you have this great piece of content created and you're ready to shoot it out to your customers, you need to identify what are going to be the distribution channels to best reach your customer base with this content. And hopefully you thought about this a little bit when you were in the evaluation phase and you know your customers well enough to know which channels you can find them on. But once you have this piece of content created, you want to focus on how you're going to get it out there and go about the process of doing that. So many people tend to think that SEO in and of itself is a marketing tactic, or social in and of itself is a marketing tactic. But what really goes into making those distribution channels successful is this piece of content. So you need to identify what distribution channel you want to use and then go about using that channel in order to get that content out there in a way that your customers are going to engage with. And make sure that whatever you're shooting out there, it's really easy for your customers to share it. So if it's a blog post on your website and your distribution channel is SEO, make sure that you have social plugins on there, and make sure you have comment boxes, and make sure you have all of those elements that are going to make it easy for your customers to take the next step with that content. An RSS feed, an email subscribe sign up, any of those elements are going to be essential to making sure that your content marketing campaign doesn't end with that one piece of content, but that you're taking it to the next level. So many people tend to think that once you create the content and once you get it out to your customers, that's the end of the process. But there's actually one more step after that, which is the analysis of how that content performed. So if you end the process right after you send your content out there, you're actually going to miss out on so much information that will help you do better in your content marketing campaigns the next time around. So we at Blue Fountain love using Google Analytics, we use Excel, we use all of these different platforms to track exactly how each piece of content performed. What were the greatest referral sources? Where did most of your traffic come from to that piece of content? Which source had the highest share rates? What was the most engaged source of traffic? All of these elements that you want to consider to find out where your most targeted customer base is, and then start generating ideas on how you can keep taking that customer base to the next level. And this type of analysis is going to circle back to the evaluation phase. It's going to inform the goals that you set on the next time around. So say 5% of the visitors that came from email ended up sharing your article. Well, now you know that email is going to be a really valuable source of shares for you, and you probably want to spend some time making it even easier for your email customers to share that piece of content. And if there's a certain distribution source that you can see as a weakness, maybe don't focus on that one as much the next time. All of these are going to be really essential pieces of information for you to incorporate into your larger picture and understanding of what is going to make this campaign successful. So now that you've gone through this process of identifying what is going to make a great content strategist and how to create this great piece of content, the most important thing to remember while you're going through this is that above all, we are helpers and we are storytellers. We're not just marketers, we're not just editors, we are here to help our customers, and it's our job to identify what type of story is going to most help our customers accomplish the goal that they want to accomplish.